There's still no deal on Florida's immigration bill, but the governor is touting a new agreement with Homeland Security, which does deputize state law enforcement to help ICE detain and deport people who are in this country illegally. Capitol reporter Forrest Saunders joining us live tonight in Tallahassee with what we're now finding out about this latest one. Forrest?
Yeah, I mean, this is DeSantis basically saying that they are doing everything they can on at least the state police level to help with immigration enforcement. But really, the big question we keep getting is, where are we at with that immigration bill? Is it going to get signed? Is it going to get vetoed? Or is there a compromise in the works? As Florida continues to ramp up immigration enforcement.
And here it is. We got the agreement.
Friday, Governor Ron DeSantis announced the latest turn, a new deal with U.S. Homeland Security, deputizing Florida Highway Patrol for ICE training and authorization, allowing them to help with detaining and deporting undocumented individuals.
So this 287G agreement is the maximum amount of participation that we've been asked to do under federal law and with the Department of Homeland Security.
The agreement is an expansion of DeSantis' deal with the feds in Fort Myers last week.
All right. There you go. Memorandum of understanding.
Which handled the customs enforcement side of things. But a big question still lingers.
Show the bill passes.
Where do things stand with that immigration bill lawmakers passed last week, which DeSantis has vowed to veto for not being strong enough?
Where are we at with the immigration bill?
I do think that the policy is probably less far apart than what it was last week, and we'll see. But ultimately, it's like, what do the voters expect us to do? And I think the voters expect us to be as strong as we can.
The legislation repeals in-state tuition for DACA recipients. It strengthens criminal penalties for undocumented immigrants, and it gives state immigration authority to the Florida Ag Commissioner, which DeSantis doesn't like, but lawmakers do since it's an elected post.
Governor DeSantis was offering some bureaucrat in some agency that's, under his supervision. And maybe that person would have done a good job or not. I have no idea. I don't know who he would have appointed. But my point is, this is too important of a position to not be held accountable.
The scuffle has become a back and forth between the legislature and chief executive for weeks now, both sides hitting each other in the press and on social media. And while tempers seem to be cooling a bit, House Speaker Danny Perez sent this memo on Thursday, creating lawmaker work groups to analyze what was cut from the last budget and propose veto overrides.
We care about the policy. We don't care about the infighting.
Florida Democrats in the House consider it all a waste of time and say the federal government needs to reform immigration, not the state of Florida.
The rest of this is grandstanding and sort of pounding your chest. Who's going to have the better idea? Who does Donald Trump love more today than he did yesterday? That's what they're after.
Okay, so we are in sort of immigration bill limbo while we wait to see if some kind of compromise can be reached. But I will say lawmakers are back next week for another interim committee week. That means that if we do get a bill, they could theoretically gavel into these chambers and pass whatever that looks like. But again, we need a deal in order to make that happen. Paul?
Yeah, it looks awfully quiet there on a Friday night, Forrest. Meanwhile, there's new insight tonight on the election landscape. ABC News reporting today that Casey DeSantis, the current First Lady, of course, could run for governor in 2026 when her husband, the current governor, when his term is up. What are you learning about this?
This is a mixed bag, and this is a question that we've been hearing for really years now because DeSantis won re-election in 2022, and everybody's been speculating as to who his successor might be. Casey DeSantis, she polls very, very well. In fact, she's got like a double-digit lead compared to some of the latest contenders, which might be Matt Gaetz, might be Byron Donalds, Florida's U.S. congressman. So we just don't know for sure if she's going to get in because she's not saying anything. But what I can tell you is behind the scenes, people tell me she's not interested, but then we also hear that she might be considering it because donors are pressuring her to jump in and run. So again, it's a question mark right now, but there is heightened speculation given that some donors are really trying to urge her to jump into this race. We've got plenty of runway for that to happen if she does want to do it. But again, it's a mixed bag because I am hearing from other people who say, nah, she is not interested at all. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, Forrest, one of the other big issues Floridians are continuing to face every day, as we report on it here every day, is the financial squeeze and the rising cost of living. There was a new bill we know filed this week by a Pinellas County representative that is claiming to help with this. It calls for cracking down on business, really corporations that are buying up these single family homes in bulk, which is making it harder for people to find affordable places to live. Does that bill seem like it has any daylight to actually becoming law?
We are just in the beginning phases of people's, filing these pieces of legislation. So what I will say is that bill is definitely on the books, and it could potentially go somewhere, given that there is sort of a voter mandate to tackle affordability. There might be some constitutional questions with that, of course, because you're basically limiting someone or a group of people from buying something because of what they intend to do with it. Maybe you could get around it with zoning, maybe not. We'll have to wait and see if it does become law. But at the moment, it doesn't have a companion bill over in the Senate, and it hasn't been assigned to any committees. That could happen, and it probably will, but then we have to wait and see if it actually gets some traction. But again, it's really important to note here that both the Senate President and the House Speaker say that they want to do something on affordability in this next legislative session. So these are the ideas that we should be watching to see if they pick up some steam as we move closer and closer to March 4th, when the folks gavel in here at the Capitol.
Certainly a contest of ideas at the state Capitol for Saunders. Thank you for your insights, sir.